Boys and girls, stick with me for a review of the food pyramid, and then I'll take you on a tour of my pantry so you can see the food I have in my pantry and decide which tier of the food pyramid it goes in. So first I'm going to show you the old school food pyramid, the one that I learned and maybe your parents would recognize from when we were little, and it is no longer valid. Here's why. I'm going to show you. So this is the old one. It's still a pyramid, meaning it's like a triangle shape. But at the very top, they have a small portion because this is what they're saying you can have a small portion of in your diet. And then it gets bigger and bigger. So the very bottom tier is what they're saying you should eat the most of. And if you look at the foods that are in there, it shows breads and cereals and pastas and taters and rice. And that is not accurate. That is what people used to think. But scientists and nutritionists have since come up with a better eating plan. So it used to be you were supposed to eat the most of this and then a good amount of fruits and vegetables, a little bit of meat here. And then they actually had fats, oils, sugars, and salts in the food pyramid as part of the things that you should be eating. So that is not accurate. They changed it to what was called the food pyramid, my pyramid, and that looks like this. This is still okay. We're getting better, but they've changed it again to what's called my plate. We're going to look at my plate in a minute. So this food pyramid, they did it by colors and they changed it to show you the different things you should have again. And the bigger the tier, the wider it is, the more that you should eat. So once again, the grains is about the biggest tier. And it looks like the blue and the green are just about the same size. So blue is the milk tier, green is the vegetables tier. So you should be eating a lot of dairy products, a lot of vegetables. Fruit is smaller. It shows that proteins like meat, fish, eggs, beans, stuff like that, nuts, that's a fairly small one. And then look at this little tiny yellow one. Instead of being the sugars and oils, or I'm sorry, the sugar and fat like it was before, it's just called fats and oils. So stuff that comes from like nuts have a lot of oil in them, and then like adding actual like vegetable oil to things, they decided to actually put that in there. But this is still confusing for children. Maybe you're looking at this like, I don't understand how this helps me eat healthy. So they changed it to this. This is the current recommendation from the USDA, from the government, about what you should be eating. And it makes it so much easier because you eat food on a plate. It has nothing to do with the pyramid. And so they made it look like a plate, and it's called My Plate. And they did the colors based on the big portions that you should be eating. So fruits, grains, vegetables, protein, and dairy. 5 groups. They took out the oils, they took out the sweets. Does that mean you can never eat them? Don't ever eat a donut, cake, cookies, none of it. You can't have it. Candy, forget it, never. No, you can still have it, but they always say you can have it in moderation. That means here and there. So if for breakfast I have a donut that's sugary, that doesn't really, sugar doesn't have a place on here, but I'm okay if I just have that donut. But then if for lunch for dessert, I have a cookie and I have a bunch of like, I don't know what else, fruit snacks. And then for dinner, I have some ice cream and a piece of cake and a snack. I have sugar, 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 sugar. Then that's not moderation. That's not here and there. That's all day long. And then that's when it's not good for your body, especially somebody like me who's diabetic, whose body has trouble processing sugar. So if you look at this, you should have the most vegetables, which wasn't what it said before, and a decent amount of grains. Those are about the same. That's what should be on your plate. And good grains, good like wheat type grains, not just like white breads. And then proteins could be any type of meat, but it can also be eggs, peanut butter is high in protein, nuts, all of those are proteins. Fruits, you should have watched the video earlier this week about what's the difference between fruits and vegetables. So you should know what those are. And then dairy, it puts it on the side here because a lot of times kids drink their dairy through milk, but it doesn't have to be. It can be cheese, it can be yogurt. There are different options for dairy. So we are going to use the vocabulary fruits, grains, vegetables, protein, and dairy, and we're going to go upstairs and see what I've got.
Are you ready for this? This is my pantry. Now, it was just my son's birthday and he had a Minecraft party. So it's decorated for Minecraft. It says Vaughn is 5 and it looks like a castle. We had these like fire torches coming out, but they ripped off and fell off. But anyway, here we go. Dun, dun, dun. Mrs. Yonkie's pantry. We have way too much in there. All right, so let's start looking for some things. Right off the bat, I'm drawn over here to this ginormous stack of applesauce cups. What tier of the food pyramid would applesauce be in? We have fruits, vegetables, proteins, grains, or dairy. That would be a fruit because apples are a fruit. And we try to buy the no sugar added kind because apples are already sweet. They have natural sugar. You don't need to add sugar to it. It still tastes good and it's a little more healthy for you. Okay, so next as I go across my pantry, I'm seeing pancake mix. So pancakes. Don't look at the syrup and the stuff on top, just the pancakes itself. Which tier of the food pyramid would that fit into? That would be a grain because pancakes are made out of like flour, which is a grain. Okay, let's keep going. I see some, this is a ginormous bin of nuts. My husband eats a lot of nuts. It has almonds and walnuts and pecans in there. So what tier would this go into? Fruits, vegetables, grains, proteins, or dairy? Proteins. Nuts have a lot of protein in them, so that would be part of the protein group. So if somebody was maybe like a vegetarian and they didn't eat meat, they could get some of their protein from nuts because they still have protein in them. Okay, next one. There's bread. I see, ooh, Cheerios. What tier of the food pyramid would Cheerios go in? That would be a grain, just like pancakes, because they are made out of wheat or flour, which would be grains. So most cereals are going to fit into the grains category. All right, next up, I'm going to the next shelf. I see some salsa, black bean and corn salsa. So let's think about what's in there. So this is actually going to fit into several tiers of the pyramid because if you remember from the video, we talked about what a tomato would be. A lot of people think tomatoes are vegetables, but they're actually fruits. So the tomato in there would be my fruit. Corn, what is corn? That one would be a vegetable. What about those black beans? Anybody know what tier of beans would go in? It's not a vegetable. Beans are a protein. Now, when it comes to like black beans, that is a protein. Pinto beans, that would be a protein. Any type of bean that looks like this. Green beans would be a vegetable. So there is a difference there. All right. So just this salsa alone, if I have it with some tortilla chips, I've filled most of my pyramids here. What would a tortilla chip fit into? Grain. So this would be my grain, my fruit, vegetable, and protein. So the only one missing from that would be dairy. So maybe if I had some queso dip with it or something, then I've got all my my tiers in there. Now this is a bin full of candy. Like when my kids get candy for a holiday or I don't know, from their grandparents, because their grandparents buy them too much stuff, it goes in that bin. As you can see, it's like overflowing because we still have candy from Halloween and Christmas. What tier does the candy fit into? No, it doesn't fit because it's not in there. That is all. This bin is the moderation bin. That's why there's so much stuff left in it still, because we don't eat it very often. We might get like a piece of candy after dinner sometimes. So not really a lot for that. What about tuna? What tier would tuna fit into? Tuna is a meat. It's a fish, so it has a lot of protein in it. So tuna would go into the protein category. We have found something from fruits and vegetables and grains and proteins. What have we not found yet? Dairy. Why do you think we haven't found dairy in my pantry? Because a lot of times dairy has to be in the refrigerator. We'll go there in a minute. All right. There I see pineapple chunks. So sometimes people have this pineapples in cans instead of fresh. What tier would that be? That would be a fruit. Now, most of the stuff on this shelf is going to be what category? We've got crackers, Cheez-Its, graham crackers, popcorn, chips. What is all that? Croutons. What is all that going to fit into? That would be a grain, the grain tier. All right, we also have some oils. So sometimes we'll spray our pan with olive oil, or some recipes will call for coconut oil. So these things are still stuff that your body needs, just very, very small amounts. Let's do one more. We have some oatmeal down here, different kinds, sugar-free oatmeal. There's apple, cinnamon, almond oatmeal. Look very closely at the package. And what tier do you think it goes into? Grain, because it says it's a whole grain oat. All right, really quickly, let's go see if we can find some dairy in the fridge. Okay, you can tell I just went grocery shopping, so it's pretty full. Let's check out our dairy products. Right off the bat, I see a giant jug of milk. Milk is a dairy product, so it comes from a cow. We are looking for things that come from cows. Lemonade comes from cows, correct? No. Eggs, cows? No. Chickens. Let's see. You see anything from dairy here? That's dairy here. Boop. Sour cream is made with milk. Would you eat that plain? No, but you can have it like on a taco or something. Yogurt made from milk. And notice we buy the light one so it doesn't have quite as much sugar in it. So we're trying to do that sugar in moderation thing. Hot dogs, that made from milk? No. Salad? No. There's a thing of cheese. Cheese. I've got a whole drawer full of cheese. Shredded cheeses, cheese slices, string cheeses. Those are all dairy products. And we have cream cheese back there too. Got a bunch of that. My husband was going to make a cheesecake. And one other thing that is dairy would be down here. Chicken fingers are dairy. No, they're not. Just kidding. That would be a protein. Hi, Zola. Hi. She wants an ice cube. Whenever we get into the fridge, she thinks she gets an ice cube. Deco. Okay. But here's the other one I was going to say is ice cream. Ice cream is made from milk. But this also has brownies and cookies in it. So what do you think? Even though it is rich and delicious, is it healthy? Probably not so much. So that would be something that we would eat in moderation, just here and there. All right, so I hope you enjoyed the tour of my kitchen, pantry, and refrigerator, and that you learned a little bit about your food pyramid. See ya. There, she's eating her ice cube. Now you make a mess on my ground. Don't make all messes. Okay, so bye. No, I'm not going to take it from you, silly girl.